a bit more fluidity and a bit more confidence to go with it that they could really carry forward with them. But equally Wellington, I mean, we saw that they're a young team, they've got lots of energy, and they use that they use that to put opposition sides under pressure. And Western Sydney for times in that match really struggled to play through Wellington's pressing. And so we saw the good in both sides, and that was an exciting thing. And I think really important for both of those sets of players to feel like there was some kind of progress.
No, it is. It's really important. And I think for both sides, they do face each other later on in the season. I can't particularly remember when. So I'm hoping they can both get a win, because Wellington, got 2 wins last season or one? I can remember the one for sure, but my brain is escaping me at this current moment in time. Another big game from the weekend was...
2 wins, you're right.
2 wins, so I was right. Okay, my brain, I'm really proud of my brain that moment. Perth Glory and Western United, obviously we are going to speak to Hannah Keane soon, hopefully. But Western United, the show keeps on rolling, and NPL Victoria just says, Kai should have looked at us a little bit earlier.
They're such a weird team. I watch Western United and sometimes I don't really understand how they keep winning these games. And they were really tested this time because they were behind twice. And you kind of thought, would that be the undoing of Mark Torcazo's style when they don't have the lead to defend the whole time? But they did. They found a way through. Yeah, there were 2 set pieces, but they just kind of overwhelmed Perth Glory, and there's just such a good vibe around the squad. I can't wait to talk to Hannah Keane about that, because I've got no idea how they keep finding a way to win these games.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I really loved about Western is that for some teams, sometimes you see when it gets to about the 80th minute mark or the 85th and the scores are all level, they kind of just hold on for that, just the draw, because they want to mitigate the risk like the rest of the season. But they just kept on going. And that's what I've been really impressed about Western United all season, is that they continually are trying to win games, even if sometimes they leave themselves defensively exposed, and they could concede goals if their opposition was more clinical in front of goal. But I really like the work rate. I will say that Chloe Lagazo made a big difference yet again when she came on the field and scored a goal. And I think in the game that is escaping me, and I will think about it and I will return back to it. But she's scored, I think it was at Amy, she scored 2 goals when she came onto the field.
The City game was that?
City game, thank you, appreciate it. I knew it was a Melbourne team. The Melbourne's, it's all getting confused in my head.
There's only one F1. Yeah.
But she made a big difference, and obviously she's leaving in February. I want to know what changes Western United will make because her impact, they don't have a player of her quality, if we're going to be clear honest, that just can fit in her slot once she leaves. How are they going to adapt their playing style, and how are they going to keep this momentum rolling? Because obviously it's great they've accumulated all these points in the early parts of the season before all the internationals leaves, and it's not just their squad that's going to lose the internationals. There are plenty of other sides who've got them only on short-term loans. How will they go about it? That's what I'm really curious to see.
Yeah, and I think there's an additional layer of complexity in the sense that I don't think that the way Western United, their kind of MO style, is the most conducive to Chloe Lagazo and how Chloe wants to play. I think that the reason Chloe was so effective against Perth, for example, was because when they were behind, they needed to have the ball more, and that's when Chloe Lagazo was able to do her thing a bit more often. So it's this really weird dynamic, and they've found the balance really well up until this point this season, and that they're using her when she's needed depending on the state of the game. Now that may change as we see Chloe continue to build up her fitness and perhaps play more minutes over the last period in which she's playing for them. But yeah, it's a really interesting thing, and it's a huge benefit to Mark Torcazo that he's able to bring this player off the bench at this stage who adds a new dimension to the way his team's playing.
No, certainly. And you know what, Oscar? Now that we are speaking about Western United, I think it's actually a great time we'll take a break. And then right after, behind the break, we'll speak to Hannah Keane about Western United and about how things are going for her. And obviously on Radio Dub, we do love the bants and good vibes. So it's not going to be all serious, but it will just be a good time. So we'll head to a break and we'll speak to Hannah Keane right after.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants. Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants. Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
Pickett, she lays it off Teresa Polias. It's an absolute peach. Ayres driving. What a hit from Melina Ayres. Wow. And Sam Kerr has a hat-trick.
And welcome back here on Radio Dub. We had an interesting first segment, but you know what? What we've realised about Radio Dub, it's not really about Oscar, myself, Lockie when he's here. It's about the guests. And you know what? Oscar, you know, on Radio Dub, we can continually, it's a point of emphasis that we like to have good guests on. And we've got a good guest on, don't you reckon? My fantasy team loves her. Favourite player in my fantasy squad. I can't lie. We are taking out dub after dub after dub, okay? And we're speaking to Hannah Keane, obviously from Western United. Hannah, thank you for joining us on the show and making time for this little pod. But I've got to say, did you know the fantasy was coming? So you said, I need to step up my game this season so everybody can be happy if they've got me on their team? No, see, that's a good thing that you're doing. It's generous and I appreciate it because there have been some weeks where I've been like, oh, I think I'm going to take the L on this one. This is not going to go well. And then you come out there and you score a goal and you've been making it a habit of scoring goals. You've scored 3 goals so far this season and 3 assists. You're fully contributing to Western United and the success you guys have had at the start of the season. Has it surprised you? Is there, obviously with winning, you know, winning creates like a lot of happiness in a club, but is there a song that's like going on in the, like you guys is there been like a song the team has adopted in now as the winning has continued?
I think we're a little bit too afraid to do something that would kind of like throw us off, or I don't know. We just take it a game at a time because, like I said, it hasn't always been super easy wins. They've been really difficult, and games that we thought we were going to lose, we pull out the win at the very end. So I think we're still kind of in shock that we've won all the games, and almost sometimes it doesn't feel like it. Like we have to remind ourselves that we just won that game. But I think that also just shows our mentality that we're not completely happy with the wins, because they are wins, but we think we can do a lot better than what we've showed so far.
Does it? Oh no, you go, Oscar. Goss, I see the Zoom. See what Zoom's doing? Yes, I don't like it. I don't like you go.
It's really awkward, isn't it? It's difficult. Bear with us. No, I was just going to ask on that point. So why is it that this team keeps winning then? Like you talk about you're not even playing that well and you're not really sure how you do it. What in your mind is the key?
You know, I think we've just been doing well at finishing the key moments that we have. I mean, I'm still not too satisfied. Like 3 goals is great and all, but there's so many shots that I'm like, I could have easily had 7 goals by now if I had just done a little bit better in that moment. But I think in other key moments, like we've just, I don't want to say luck because it's not completely luck. And I know everyone's worked hard to get to that point, but I think it's just a couple moments that we just stay focused longer than other teams, and we just pounce on the opportunities that they give us. And that's kind of been the theme in the last few games. But I think there's still so much room for improvement where it won't always have to be like that we should have a lot more opportunities earlier in the game and finish them. And I'll do my best to do that.
If you want to just keep on scoring goals, get an assist in there as well so I can annihilate the competition in fantasy and I can take out the league, I'm all for it. But you touched on a little bit in terms of like, obviously the confidence that you guys would take out of like winning games like this. And obviously you're here for the full season, correct? Is it? And obviously you've been in Australia before and you've played for Alamein in the NPL, and you spoke a little bit about when you were doing, they did the press release for you joining Western about your unfinished business. Do you feel like you're doing exceeding your expectations about the unfinished business, or are you kind of on track where you're like, this is what I came here to do, this is what I'm doing?
I think it's a good start, but I definitely think that I can do even better. Like I said, I've had a few other chances for scoring or making assists that I didn't finish, so I'm not happy with that. But I do feel like I am kind of proving a point, but I think I can still do better. And yeah, I'm definitely a completely different player than last time I was here in Australia. So it's pretty fun to see kind of a few players I remember that were around that time because it was a while ago, but most of them were too young. But yeah, no, I think this time around it's going much better. And like I said, there's still a lot of room for improvement, but it will come. We're still only 5 games in, so I have time.
And I was really interested in asking you about that though. What in your mind has changed in the now more than 6 years that you've been playing in Australia? What's it been like to kind of come back to this competition or to this country where you've had a bit of experience, but obviously not a huge amount? What have you seen change?
I think, well, the fact that I never actually got the chance to play in the A League or W League back then, I have still kind of kept up with it and watched a few games over the years. And I think the league has just gotten a lot better here with like the technical skills and the kind of, I want to say like soccer IQ that I see from the players. I think there's a little bit more emphasis now on strategy and kind of the dynamics of the technical skills of players and teams working together. But I think when I was here last time, it was a bit more, I don't know, rough around the edges, but now I see it more as a complete league. And I mean, I won't say it's in the top 5 in the world, but it's a good start. Like, I think they're headed in the right direction.
See, you speak about, I think I'd agree. I think the A-League Women's got has taken really big steps and has got lots to do to be one of the biggest in the world, because I think it can be that. I think women's football is at a different stage to men's football in terms of what leagues, the way you can compare leagues. But you've played against some of the biggest teams in the world. You've played in the Champions League and you've played against one of my favourite sides in Europe, against PSG in the Champions League. Didn't go the way you're after. I don't want to bring it up. I don't mean to, but you've played against some of the best players in the world. What's that like in like a competition like that, and how's that your game adapted, being able to play in different countries and in different playing styles as well?
Yeah, I will say the PSG, we played them twice, and the first time we can forget, but the second time it was 0-0.
Hey, that's a win.
That's a win. I take that as a win in my mind. Wow, yeah, to play against those teams, it's kind of, you almost think right when you walk on the field, like, oh my gosh, I have no chance. Why am I here? Like, this is PSG or Barcelona last season. We played against them a few times, and it's like, these are like players that are actually the best in the world. And I don't know, but once the whistle blows and you start to play, you realize like they're doing the same thing you are. They're on the same field, same ball, same conditions, same 11 players that are across from you that you have. And it's really not as like big of a difference as you think. I think in women's football, it's a little bit different when a lower team plays against a higher team, that we're definitely more technical, and like the differences in skill level isn't as drastic as it could be with the men. But it was amazing. It was a really tough experience because you can't switch off even for 1 second or the other team will score. They're just that good. But it's also hard to play against teams like that and then come here and maybe like think like, oh, I'm not playing against Barcelona, so I don't have to be like that switched on, which is something I have to tell myself every training, every game. Like, I need to be playing as if I'm still playing against Barcelona, because I don't want to lose what I spent the last 3 or 4 years playing at, like that kind of level. So it's difficult sometimes, but I think if I can like bring that kind of energy and that kind of like importance to every training and game to this team, then we can improve a lot more and be a little bit sharper than maybe they would have been without me.
I want to, obviously you have been all around the world and you've played in the biggest leagues, but you started out for you in the college system in America, and we see a lot of the college system in America brings out a lot of players every year in, year out, and there's kind of like some players get that start straight in the NWSL. They get there straight away. But there's a lot of players who have to go kind of find themselves overseas and go to different leagues, lower leagues and things like that, and really adapt and change. Is it kind of strange when you see like Europe and stuff kind of catch up to the United States in a way, but the American system kind of still produces so many players year in, year out, but there are so many players that kind of have to go in different places just to play competitively?
Yeah, I think the college system, I think, can be good. It has been interesting going and playing in other countries, like in Portugal, for example. I had girls on my team that were 16 years old. Oh, wow. And I was like, oh, would you maybe be interested in going and playing in America, like for a college, a good one, because they're really good. And they're just like, oh, why would I do that? Like, I've already made it pro. I'm on a professional team. Like, why do I need to go there? But I think it would still be beneficial for players like that to go into the college system. Like, you get to play soccer every single day. You can get a scholarship. You can get a degree also, which is kind of the most important thing. And then you come out of college and you're still only 21. You haven't really missed much time and you've been playing every day. So you're probably still better or just as good of a player as you were when you were 16 or 17. So I think it's just a different way of doing it that I think maybe in Europe, and I think Australia has a little bit better sense of what like the university system, how it can be helpful for a player. Whereas in Europe, I think they just kind of have one image of partying in college and that's what they don't want to be involved in. But I think it can be a really good opportunity. And yeah, coming out of the college system, I think there's a lot more pathways to professional soccer than people think. Just because you're not drafted into the NWSL, there's still probably 100 teams in Europe that would want you. So the draft is definitely not all or nothing in terms of a soccer career. I don't think I even entered it after college because the NWSL is just kind of, I don't like the instability of maybe getting drafted, but then not getting a contract and then being traded without any warning or just dropped or just, I think Europe and here, if you have a set contract, it's a really good thing to have. And I think a lot of people just don't realize how nice it is to have that and not maybe be traded without knowing it.
And obviously, places like us, we get to benefit therefore from this system,
Melbourne,
don't we?
Melbourne, Melbourne. Come on. You know, we've got this podcast. We've got to churn out that Melbourne bias constantly every single episode.
Melbourne in particular, plus a couple of other places occasionally, also benefit from this system. And so I guess, is that why you think that there are so many super talented American players playing in Australia right now this season here in Australia?
Yeah, I do think, though, that there could be even more if there wasn't just a 4 international limit rule. I know a lot of people that want to play here, and I understand like the meaning of behind wanting the young Australian girls to kind of go through the system and have the spots for them. But I think that's maybe something that would hold back the league from being potentially like one of the best in the world. Because I mean, in Spain and Portugal and Germany, there is a limit, but it's way more than 4. And I know there's a lot of good talent that would want to come play here, but because of those restrictions, it makes it more difficult. So I think that's something that maybe they can think about later about changing, just to bring in more talent, because I think that would also inspire more young girls. If they can see even more talent closer to home, then maybe it would help out. But yeah, I think there could be a lot more talent than there already is here.
No, you know what, Hannah, if we're going to get internationals that are going to score heaps of goals for me and my fantasy team, I'm all for it. I'll fly the plane. I don't think you trust me. I don't have my plane license, but I'll bring them myself. But you know what, Hannah, on Radio Dub here, you know, we've asked a lot of serious questions. We need to just take a step back and, you know, and relax. And now, because we're a Melbourne bias podcast only, and this is the only state that matters in the entire country, Could you tell us what at least some of your favourite things about Melbourne that coming back you've been like, I've missed this. I've missed this about Melbourne. It's been nice.
Yeah, I think I'm vegan, so just the amount of vegan options here just blows my mind, because in Spain and in Portugal, they just don't really, I've had people bring me fish and eggs when I was there because they're like, oh, this is what vegans eat, right? And like,
they thought you were flexitarian.
Yeah, but just the amount of vegan options here, and like good ones where sometimes I'm afraid it's not vegan because it tastes so good. But it's been great. Like the food, that's basically where I spend all my money because I can't resist it. But yeah, I would have said also the weather before I got here. I was expecting it to be a lot better, but I think it's just a one-off, and I'm sure it's getting better now. And so the weather's been okay.
Oh, Hannah, see, I want to say to you, it's not going to get better. It really, Melbourne is a great state, but it is not. This is the one downside about this state, is that the weather is shocking and will change on you in a heartbeat. That's why Oscar's left and gone to Byron Bay in Sydney, because it's not, but he's going to come back. Because
like a detox. Yeah,
it was a detox. You know, you need to cleanse yourself. Even of the great things, you need to cleanse yourself. But before you go, actually, give us a vegan restaurant that you really like. Give us a recommendation. Give us a recommendation.
There's so many, but I think I really love Veggie Bar. Okay. It's in Fitzroy, I think. Okay. I'm pretty sure. And yeah, just everything. And then there's also an ice cream place next to it. I think it's called Girls and Boys. And it's just, the ice cream is, you wouldn't know that it's vegan, that there was no milk or anything. So Veggie Bar and Girls and Boys.
Okay, see, I like that, Hannah. See, because it seems that every time me and Oscar are co-hosting the show together, we get food recommendations, because we got Madison Haley gave us a food recommendation. Maybe, Oscar, that's the next iteration of Radio Dub. We just try out foods that A-League women's players recommend.
Food Safari.
Food Safari. That's what we're doing here on Radio Dub. But
you're done for Food Safari.
Yeah. Well, Hannah, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to speak to us, and good luck for the rest of the season, and hopefully you can keep scoring more goals so my fantasy team can keep annihilating the competition.
Yes, I will score just for you. So you can win.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Hannah. You know what? We will head to a break real quick, and then after the break, we'll speak to Murphy Agnew. Oscar, we'll speak to Murphy Agnew. That'd be
Sounds like a deal.
Sounds like a deal.
Change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website, dkpco.com.au, or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants. Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website, dkpco.com.au, or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
Ever wanted a career in football? At the Global Institute of Sport, you can now study a master's degree in football business or football coaching and analysis right here in Australia. GIS is the largest provider of sports degrees in the UK, with campuses at Wembley and Etihad Stadium. Learn online with unique access to the iconic MCG and a big-hitting Australian industry network. Be one of the first Australians to get a football master's degree and join GIS's global network of football leaders. Apply now to start in February 2023. Learn more at gis.sport/FNR. That's gis.sport/FNR.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
With this great sporting nation who has yet to embrace fully the world's greatest game, and for so long of trying to have the game accepted. When I'm up at the big football field in the sky, I just want people just to remember I told you so.
And suddenly the complexion of the game changes. Let's hope it doesn't, but this is the best period for Iran in the match. Ali Dodi, danger for Australia here, the flag's down! It's an equaliser!
You just feel for them, not just the boys, they are representative of so many people who make this game their life. It's just, I can't say anything, mate.
All right.
Especially as they have the impetus. Aloisi, Cahill, Cahill! Tim Cahill has done it again! What a goal by Tim Cahill! 2-1 Australia! Oh, it's a wonderful moment in Kaiserslautern! And Tim Cahill has come off the bench and maybe won the match for the Socceroos.
You're listening to FNR, Football Nation Radio.
Penalty conceding kind of situation, but Atkinson did well. Oh my goodness! Have you seen a more freakish goal in A-League history? Riley McGreen with a scorpion kick into the top corner. It's one of the most amazing things we've ever seen. Come on, Ernie, on your feet.
You're listening to FNR, Football Nation Radio.
She lays it off Teresa Polias. It's an absolute peach. Is driving. What a hit from Melina Reyes. Wow. And Sam Kerr has a hat-trick.
And welcome back to Radio Dub. For the final time tonight, Oscar, we'll see. We'll see how we feel. We see how I feel. I'm Pokuah from Pokuah. I realised I didn't introduce myself at the start of the show. I don't know if that's my narcissism or I don't know what that is.
You don't need to tell them who you are. They know who you are.
I didn't need to tell them who I am. But no, Pokuah from Pong. And joined by Oscar Rutherford here on FNR. And Oscar, we spoke to Hannah Keane just before and it was really great to speak to her. But you know what we said? If we're going to have an American on the show, we need to double it. We need to
Everything's bigger in America, yeah. It's twice as many.
Exactly. So we said, you know what, who's a really exciting player in the competition right now that we really like? And one of my favourite players from Newcastle Jets, Murphy Agnew, who, Oscar, if you've seen, every time she's on the ball, I'm like, what's she going to do? Because she's always setting up the play for her side and she's been a really vital player. Didn't play on the weekend with injury, but we do have Murphy on the line, I hope. Murphy, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Fantastic. Now, see, miracles of technology, because I was nervous. I accidentally muted you for a second, and then I was like, oh, please, it's going to work by the time she wants to talk. Murphy, how are you? And obviously you didn't play on the weekend, but how's recovery going, and how are you enjoying life in Australia at the moment?
It's going well. I mean, I think I'm on schedule with the treatment that I'm undergoing. And yeah, just living in Australia has been really fun so far. I have great teammates, great housemates, and Newcastle has been a really fun city to live in. So I've enjoyed it a lot.
So you wouldn't have enjoyed it as much as Melbourne, but no. See, there I go again with my Melbourne bias coming into the show. It's
professionalism.
Exactly. I'm sorry. It's too much. But Murphy, the Jets, you guys have been one of my favourite teams to watch in this season, because every time you guys go forward, I have no idea if you guys are going to score a goal, because the attack is always with Allen, with you, with Griffiths. You guys are continually being really dangerous going forward. Have you liked the attacking threat that you guys have provided this season?
Yeah, I think it's been really good. I mean, I think we do have that kind of unpredictable edge to us, and we can be a very counter-attacking team. So it's just been fun to go forward with all the intensity we have and try and score some goals.
Yeah, Murphy, like as Pokuah says, for me too, the Newcastle Jets have been one of the most exciting teams to watch this season, just because of that attacking dynamism, I suppose. How much of that comes from Alf Wilson? What's the messaging in terms of how much of it is to be exciting and enterprising, as opposed to, strict and disciplined in getting your results?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that we really emphasized in training and that we really focused on in preseason was being a really hardworking, intense team and trying to be the fittest team in the league, and just being able to. So I think that's like one of the biggest things we work on, is just being really intense in our attack and just in the way we play.
No, and I really enjoyed it. But see, Murphy, you didn't play on the weekend, but the side had a big win against Adelaide on the weekend, and I think to many people it may have been a surprise that Newcastle got the win over Adelaide. But what had you seen during the week been like, and were you surprised by that result, or did you kind of like, we worked really hard this week and weren't too surprised about that result against Adelaide? Ooh, I think we might have lost Murphy for a second. Maybe for
Sorry.
No, it's okay. See, technology decides to fail us in the worst moment, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But I was just asking, in terms of, obviously the win on the weekend was a really big win. Obviously you didn't play, but did you see it during the week? Did you see the intensity kind of building, that the girls were really ready for that matchup against Adelaide?
Yeah, I think after the couple tough games that we had the week before Adelaide, we were really focusing on like bringing the intensity back into training and like having a positive attitude and kind of putting those losses behind us so we could fully focus on getting the win against Adelaide. And I think that's exactly what we did. And I think the team played incredibly well. And Lauren Allen, Laws, scored some incredible goals. And yeah, it was just really nice to get the win, and looking forward to playing against Sydney this weekend. So hopefully the team will do well as well.
And what kind of impact does that win against a really fancied opposition have in terms of the confidence and the motivation around the group? Does that encourage you to go even harder with the intensity in training?
Yeah, definitely. I think the win kind of really just brought us back on the same page, and I think we're focusing on bringing that same intensity in training this week and for the weekend. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching the team get a win against Sydney.
And it should be a really, really exciting game. But obviously, see, this is our first time seeing you in Australia, if I'm not mistaken. See, I'm always scared that I'm going to get some key facts wrong and someone's going to yell at me. But it's your first time in Australia. How have you enjoyed it in Newcastle and travelling around? Because I don't know if the weather has been kind to you in your first time in Australia, because the weather has been a bit up and down. Have you regretted your choice of being like, nah, this was the right choice to come down to Australia?
No, I mean, I've really enjoyed it, and I just came off a season in Iceland, so I've actually really enjoyed the weather. I think it's been, other than a couple rainy days, it's been really, really nice. And Newcastle's a great city with lots of cool beaches. So, I've really, really enjoyed my choice to come to Newcastle.
Has Newcastle hit Iceland yet? Like when you said to people in Iceland, I'm moving to Newcastle next, did everyone go, oh, Newcastle, you mean the one in Australia? I presume that's how those conversations went.
I think I led with I'm going to play in Australia, so.
Probably a good idea.
I think when people think of Australia, they think of Sydney and Melbourne. So Newcastle's a bit of a smaller city, but I've really enjoyed it. And I think it's easier to get to know the community a bit just because of its smaller size. I've really enjoyed living here so far.
Now, in your time in Iceland, like I wanted, what's Iceland like for a footballer down there? Because like, can you play most of the games? So do you see my ignorance coming out? I don't know. Like, is the field with just snow the whole time? Like, are we getting sunny days? Like, can we play in the light? Like, what's going on in Iceland?
Well, ice skates.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah. Iceland. So they play during their summer.
Murphy, are you really calling it? Are you really calling it summer, or like is it like a summer adjacent? Like, what's the real?
It's like Iceland's summer is like Australia's winter.
Okay.
So, not warm, but not freezing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the fields there are artificial grass, so there's no really issues with like weather playing games. And my favorite thing about playing in Iceland was that because Iceland's such a small country, most of the clubs are in the one major city in Reykjavik. So there's a lot of different clubs and a lot of different Americans who actually go to Iceland to play. So it was just nice to have like kind of a smaller like American group in Reykjavik to kind of hang out with and watch. So.
And Murphy, has that experience of that small American collective been kind of replicated now that you're in Australia? I mean, you spoke about Newcastle being a slightly not the major city in Australia that everyone knows about, but you've managed to recruit a whole group of American players in your team at Newcastle. Has that experience been similar to what you had in Iceland?
I would think so, yeah. It's been really, really nice. My two housemates are Americans, and then we have our other American Cannon who lives with our out-of-state girls. I think our team has just managed to create some really close friendships and bonds within a short period of time, and it's been really fun and nice just to have a group that's as close as we are.
Imagine being able to walk around with your name being Cannon. It's just insane.
No, you see what I'm saying, though, Oscar? No, I've thought about this as well. I'm like, there are some cool names going around in the A-League Women's, but Cannon, I feel like, Murph, don't you reckon is probably like the top name in the competition?
Emily Garnier is wonderful as well. If we're talking about Americans in Newcastle, there are great names going off there.
Yeah. No, I think Cannon's name is really cool, and I think it really fits her. She's very high energy and really fun to be around. And really just explosive on the field. So I think it fits her perfectly.
No, it's a cool name. And I wish I could my parents would have thought of something like a way cooler name for me. Because I feel like cool names really set you up. Like Murphy, you got a cool name. Murphy Agnew. Like that's a sick name. Oscar.
Thank you.
What's your name again, Oscar? Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Just a bit boring. It's all right.
You want to talk to me about boring names, do you, Pokuah? Please go on.
No.
Yeah.
But no, we're speaking to Murphy Agnew here at Radio Dub. Murphy, see on Radio Dub here, as you can tell, the football is really important, but getting to know the players is also really, really important. And I want to know, is there a player there, or like at Newcastle when you got there, you were like, oh, they're super cool. Like, I'm like, oh, this is like, it's really nice to get to know them, and like a player who kind of maybe surprised you down in Newcastle.
I don't know so much as surprise, but I think the captain, Cass Davis, has been really fun to play with in the midfield. Just like really solid, always knows what's going down, and just like a really good leader on and off the field. And I think she's been extremely helpful, like in terms of like settling in. And I think she's probably the rock of our team and what made it so easy for the transition moving from Iceland to Australia. So I don't know if that's necessarily surprising, but she's just been really helpful and a really great teammate.
And well, you speak about Cass Davis, a stalwart of the club. You've got this new exciting contingent at Newcastle, so many new players this season, and we saw on the weekend what could be achieved. What's the goal of the season, Murphy? Where do your squad believe you can end up this year, or this season rather?
Well, I think the goal will always be to make top 4. I mean, I think that is something that maybe people have written us off for, especially with the way we've played the past couple games, not including Adelaide. But I think that's something we can still achieve because I think this league is extremely intense and free-flowing. So I think anyone can beat anyone. And I think that this team, if we start winning some more games, I think we really have a chance to make that top 4 and play in the, what do you call it, the finals? Final championships?
Finals.
I don't know.
Playoffs.
The finals. But no, and I think that's a really interesting point because obviously the season's extended this year and we have a new team as well. But yeah, the finals race is going to be even more competitive because like I just looked at the table, I was like, oh, we've only played like 5 or 6 games, and like I'm like, oh, this season feels like we've been going for a decent while. But is that something that's you've kind of felt you're like, oh, this season's like we've only been playing for a short period of time, but it feels like we've been going for a little while?
Yeah, I think because of the short preseason, I think maybe it does feel like we've been playing for a little bit longer just because we were only here for like 5 weeks before the season started. And yeah, it definitely just feels like a very long time. And I think that also has something to do with just how intense the games are and like how much they take out of us. So yeah, I mean, I think we have like 10 games left, so not even halfway through the season.
Yeah, nobody asked me exactly how many games we've got left because my math skills have recently been failing me, so I'm out on that. But Murphy, we've discovered on Radio Dub that we are transitioning to a food safari, so we like to get food recommendations now from players, apparently. So is there a food like that you've eaten in while you've been here, you've been like, oh, Australia's got some good food, or some a food that you tried, you're like, oh, this sucks. Nobody should be eating this.
Well, I mean, I think maybe the one thing that I've never really had before I moved here was maybe the chicken schnitzel. So I think that's really, really good, and I've really enjoyed that the couple times I've had that. I think maybe that's a very Aussie food. I don't know.
Do they in Newcastle? Do they call it a Palmer or is it the Palmy? Is that what they called it in Adelaide? Is that?
They call it a schnitty here.
Schnitty?
So.
Yeah. Nah, doesn't exist. Sorry, I don't know what that is. That's not a real thing. I don't know. I'm assuming they're just talking about purely like the schnitzel itself, but like, nah.
Yeah.
We don't respect that, Oscar.
You can say anything about Newcastle, we'll believe you. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We can't fact check. But Murphy, we really, really appreciate, obviously you just finished training as well, so we really appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy schedule to join us here on Radio Dub. And good luck with the rest of the season. Keep going. You know, obviously you've been playing some really great football, so hopefully that continues for you when we get to see you back on the field really soon.
Great. Thank you, guys.
And it was great to speak to Murphy Agnew, Oscar, and Hannah Keane. You know, I just feel like we outdo ourselves here on Radio Dub. No, I really like the guests that we continue to get.
What? I'm not sure how much, like yes, we get good guests, but I'm not sure how much that's outdoing in the fact that there's just
it's not outdoing, Oscar. It certainly isn't outdoing. Of course not. I'm just saying that I think that the A-League Women's, the people in the A-League Women's, the players in the competition constantly deliver, and I'd love to hear more from them on different platforms because I think their voices should be amplified in the competition.
Sure. And we can get a pretty comprehensive map of Australian food if we manage to talk to players from every club around the country. We'll really cover all of our bases.
No, exactly.
So really
maybe it's an end of season thing that we do. We just try out all the foods. We've got dessert covered with Madison Haley's chocolate recommendation. We've got some vegan option with Hannah Keane and Schnitty.
We'll do it in Fitzroy. Let's go to for the final show.
Absolutely.
Outdoor Radio Dub live show. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everybody for joining Radio Dub this week. We've really, really appreciated you having us on. Oscar, will you be back in the flesh soon as a guy? We'll see.
At some point.
At some point. Okay.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. That's your choices. But once again, thank you everybody for joining us on Radio Dub. You can catch us anywhere. You can stream anything. And have a nice weekend.
Pickett, she lays it off. Teresa Polias.